Hey everyone, Nexus here, and today we are looking at the Sonim XP1. Now you may be asking, why am I looking at a older phone that looks like the Nokia from like 10 years ago? Why am I looking at a phone like this? Well, simply because we do a lot of smartphones here, at TMPG. We've done a lot of things, Blackberries, Android devices, iPhones, things like that. We never really got our hands on like a heavy-duty phone. Now, of course, we've seen things like the OtterBoxes and things like that, where you get a heavy-duty case for your phone. But while you do that and it does provide excellent protection, it's not really a phone built for heavy duty. And I said, you know what, let's try and get our hands on this. So me and Daddy, we went together, we got this phone here, and we said, all right, let's take a look. And we played around with it, and there's some good and some bad. So let's go around and first look at the actual hardware itself, first and foremost. Now, first thing, it comes with a case, and even the case, as you can see, very hard. Right, it's meant to be kind of sturdy and things like that. A little bit of flex, but not much. It is even this is meant to be kind of heavy duty. Now back to the phone. The same thing with the phone. As you can see, when hitting the screen here, very hard. It basically, if I was to point out anything to the phone, it does seem like it's a phone that was actually like, it's almost like having a Nokia, the old school Nokia underneath, and then a hard shell placed over it. Because literally, like this thing, and it's built in. That's interesting to note too, because it is IP54 certified. Now, if you're wondering what IP54 certified means, that means it's dust and splash resistant. I think you could run it under a hose, like a faucet or something, and it'll be okay. But not like drench it and drop it in water, but I think you can take water, a little bit of splash of water, dust resistant, shock and vibration resistant, so you could drop it and it'll be okay. I know this is like soft material here I'm dropping it on, but you get the idea. Actually, according to what the stats are for IP54, that also means you can drop the concrete and resist up to 1.6 meters. So pretty much not a full guarantee, but it's meant that from 1.6 meters down, this thing is pretty much supposed to survive that, and it's supposed to take it. Now, anything above that, it's bonus. You've seen some videos online and things like that where people have actually tossed it around, and it survived even more than that. But it's pretty much almost to say like it's guaranteed for 1.6. Not quite guaranteed, but you know what I mean. Now, looking at the actual phone itself, if you kind of circle around, now first thing you'll notice is that this is how you open the case. It's just like a little screw in the back. And that's pretty much where the battery and everything sits in there. You see, again, all sealed around, things like that. So it's not as well sealed as some of the newer Sonims. We can still get some water in there, but not as much. Even the speaker here, you can see it's still behind a hard casing. I got a little strap there. Looking around the phone itself, down at the bottom here, that's where you've got your jack for your 3.5mm and your mini USB for charging. Going around the side here, you've got what they call a PTT button, I believe it's called. And it's right now it's set for contacts. You press it and it brings your contacts up immediately, which I'm not going to show you because I don't want you to call my friends. Over here, you've got your volume rocker, standard stuff. Again, nothing around the top. Now, here, interestingly, it's got this little opening. We can't figure out exactly what it's for, but from way back in the day with the old school like Nokias and stuff, I believe that's the antenna. I don't know for sure, but I can't even find anything online. Even the user manual doesn't really say what it's for, but that's what it looks like to me, so I'm going to assume that's what it is. Now the buttons here, you'll see it's a standard old school keyboard, so again, nothing like overly fancy, and texting is not easy on this at all. But it's not really meant for texting. It's more for someone who could drop their phone, maybe even a kid, or for an elderly person, or particularly for heavy-duty workers, construction, things like that. It's really good for that. It's actually quite loud. I'll get to that in a moment. Of course, if you look here, you got your power and hang-up buttons, and then your mini buttons, which is a nice little interesting layout, the way the kind of boomerang look. Now, when you open the phone up and you look at it, and I'll pull this in a little bit closer, let it focus in here for a moment. Now, when you look at that there, you'll notice that the menu is very, very reminiscent of old school, Nokias. And again, I keep referencing it because that's what it reminds me of. Now, when you go in the menu, even here, and you look at the menu here, same idea, right? You got your call lists, settings, which, by the way, there is a fair bit of settings, but not, too much. I'll show you something here, actually. It's a pretty loud phone. And I can see why, because again, it's kind of catering to the construction and heavy worker crowd. So again, it's meant to be a little bit loud, but it's standard stuff, phone settings, all that usual stuff in there. Now, again, my files, SIM toolkit, which no one ever really uses. Your messages you could do your setup for your voicemail and text. That's how you text through there. Phone book, tools like alarm clock organizers, calendars, things like that. And then quick settings, so you can make quick adjustments in a WAP browser, which it's a WAP browser. Anyways, so that's kind of the, everything that's in there. Now, some interesting kind of specs to point out with this itself. Now, it uses a Philips Nexperia 6120, I believe it was, is the name of the processor. It's either 5120 or 6120, I can't remember. Anyways, I can't find any spec on what that processor puts out. Seriously, I cannot find any spec on it. Based on the phone and its operation, I'm going to say around the 1 to 200 megahertz range. I can't say for sure. But again, if you're buying this phone, that's not your concern. Because the other big thing, of course, is how much internal memory it has. It only has, no word of a lie, 10 megs internal. That's a total 10 megs internal memory. There's, well, first thing, let's just say 10 megs, okay? 10 megs internal memory, no expandable memory. You can't put a micro or SD card, anything in there. That's it. 10 megs is what you get. Now, as I pointed out before, as you can see, there is no camera. There's nothing like that. You can download ringtones and things like that, I guess, through the WAP browser and the network. But again, why would you? 10 megs, a couple ringtones, and that's pretty much taken up. Screen size, let's go through a couple other things here. The screen size is a 1.7 inch or 1.7 inch screen going across here. Not very big, under 2 inches. The weight is interesting because for a heavy-duty phone, I did expect it to be a little bit heavier. It's only at 130 grams. Not a whole lot. I think some of the smartphones these days weigh a little bit more than that still. But, for such a heavy-duty, strong phone, it's not bad. 130 grams, and it kind of carries its weight well. Doesn't feel overly heavy in the hand. Doesn't feel light. Doesn't feel overly heavy either. It claims to have up to 8 days of standby battery life, and I think like 4 and a half, 5 hour talk time. I did run the phone a little bit, and to be honest, that seems fairly close. I know a lot of phones, they claim that, but when you use your browser, or use your apps and things like that on the smartphones, that could drain, and actually end up being just a day standby, maybe even less. This actually came pretty close to those numbers. It also is tri-band 2G, so no WAP browser. No WAP browser, no Edge, no Wi-Fi, no 3G, no HSPA, no LTE, obviously, none of that. This is just a basic 2G phone with tri-band 900, 1800, and 1900. And I think that pretty much covers everything on the phone. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I have a feeling, no, you know what? I think that's pretty much it. We did do some test calls, worked pretty well. No real problem there with the phone itself. It seemed to work all right. It was fairly clear, no problems. Ran with the speakerphone. Again, speakerphone seemed to work okay. It was clear. I heard very clearly, although the user heard okay, not quite as clear as I did. I don't know if it's because this is in a hard casing. Maybe the person had a little bit of problem hearing me, but I could hear fairly clearly out there, so no problems. But overall, it doesn't seem to be like an amazing... Obviously, well, I guess I could say it's not an amazing phone. By no means. For a regular person looking for a phone to get, this would not be an option. I wouldn't even say there's better options, for example, the Doro phone and something like that for kids and for the elderly. This, if you're in construction, you need a good heavy-duty phone, this is good for that. Definitely good for that. Beyond that, though, I can't recommend this phone at all. Seriously, I cannot. It's very outdated. It's really back. The only thing it has is the strength, but a lot of phones you can buy otter boxes and stuff for them. So I can't fully recommend this for you guys on that basis. It's just way too outdated and way too slow, and not a lot to go with it. Its biggest thing is the strength, and of course, who's going to need that? Heavy-duty workers. So that's the only market I could say. For those markets, this phone I could say maybe a 6 and a 7, I could say you can have. For regular markets, though, no, maybe a 2 or 3. Honestly and truly, it's very catered to those markets. So beyond that, I can't recommend it. All right, guys? This is Nexus for TMPG. Take care. Have a good one.